everybody. Welcome in. Let's talk Week 1 waivers. Now, if you listen to my podcast, which is 5 days a week, you can find it on iTunes or anywhere else, Harris Football Podcast, then you heard me talk about what my requirements are to be considered for my waiver ad list in any given week. It is being owned in 1/3 of Yahoo fantasy leagues or fewer. And I can just give you the top 5 that I mentioned on Tuesday's podcast. Here they are. Jordan Wilkins, 1. D.D. Westbrook, you heard me talk about him enough, at 2. And you can see the list going down. I don't really have the time or really the inclination to show you film of all 5 of these guys. And clearly, we haven't seen how any of these player situations are going to work out. Reason I have Wilkins number 1 on this list is he has the theoretical chance to be the Colts starting running back and theoretical upside to give you something in Week 1. These other guys, this is more, I kind of thought they should have been drafted. I also don't think it's criminal if they're a free agent in your league. I'll talk about a few of these guys on film in a moment. Actually, the biggest story right now in fantasy is Le'Veon Bell and whether or not he's going to report. So I thought, even though James Conner, the backup Steelers running back, not technically eligible for my waiver list because he's owned in about 40% of Yahoo leagues, still would be worth looking at to see what the Steelers might have if Bell doesn't report. I don't know if Bell's going to report. You don't know. I assume maybe by the time you're watching this, he will have reported. But let's get some familiarity with James Conner just in case. Now, I didn't think Conner had a ton of juice as a rookie, which is completely explicable considering he was coming back from cancer. He was a couple carries a game guy behind Bell, and it was a lot of this, lots of runs. I mean, his first instinct was stop and look around, and then try and make a move, but not really have the juice to do much. You know, here there might have been some action to the outside, but his momentum is stopped, and he's just not going to get there, so he's kind of stuffed. A quick break to thank Lisa for sponsoring the show. Now, I look like I'm recording this in a void, but I'm actually in the yacht in Los Angeles, and I sleep on a Lisa mattress every single night. I strongly recommend Lisa to everybody who asks, and right now, I can get you up to $230 off on a Lisa mattress. If you click the link below me in the show notes, you'll be able to go on over to Lisa and make an order. They're comfortable, and most important, those Lisa mattresses, you can sleep on them for 100 nights, risk-free, and then return them if you're not loving them. And that's way better than you're ever going to get out of a brick-and-mortar store that sells mattresses. So thank you to Lisa for sponsoring, and let's get back to the show. Okay, let's get back into it with James Conner. You can show plays where a dude is stuffed and make him look bad, but again, here, instinct is to stop, not that decisive, and then there's just not a ton of juice to do something about it when he wants to cut to his left but sort of feels it stuffed and thinks about going back right. This run in particular makes it look like, this is sort of the pony-leggedness. A pony's a baby horse, that sort of thing. Sort of not quite trusting the leg strength. If you don't get the pony reference, ask your friends or listen to the podcast. Even this one, more decisive because he needs to get to the outside, although this is a 6-yard gain. It's kind of a one-speed, straight ahead, no evasive action kind of play. And the kid's 6'1", 233. He finishes well here. He brings a load, but it's sort of a run straight until I fall down kind of thing. Now let's do a couple plays from the preseason. And listen, I'm as wary as anyone on planet Earth about taking anything we see in the preseason as gospel. Plus, I don't have the fancy coach's tape to really analyze in the preseason. But that first cut that Conner makes there, we'll just show it to you again slow so you can see it. It's a 2-footer. Let's not expect miracles. He's 233 pounds. But sort of a harder, more decisive, more confident cut, I would say. I think I can see stronger legs here. And it's really easy to say, oh, what a special run when you know the result is a touchdown. I actually prefer the one I just showed you, the first one from the same game, but it does start to add up a little bit. The hesitation in the backfield feels less severe on this touchdown run. His momentum going forward a bit more, even though he's hesitating, he's not quite stopping. And then it is a nifty, broken tackle at the second level. Again, remind yourself, for all whatever you're seeing and lack of quickness or whatever, 233 pounds, he would be able to bring a hammer. Now, James Conner is not Le'Veon Bell, and he wouldn't give you Le'Veon Bell-like production if Bell winds up not reporting or not being able to produce much early in the season. But if there's no Bell, I suspect Bell is going to report by the time you see this. Maybe he already will have. But if there's no Bell, I think James Conner's a RB2 at the very least. I think he's an RB2. It's a very good offensive line historically, and I actually think he'd be fine. Here's a question for waivers, though. Do you add him? Do you add James Conner as a handcuff if you are the Le'Veon Bell owner? It's a gray area for me. It really depends on your league. With deep benches, sure. He should be owned in all deep bench type leagues. And I don't hate the upside shot on him anyway. As a hold on to him all year kind of handcuff, fantasy's sort of gotten away from that. It's hard once bye weeks start to justify having a handcuff like Conner who will do nothing for you unless Bell gets hurt. Again, in a deeper league, I don't hate it. Let's look at a few other guys. Some Jordan Wilkins. And I'm not going to make a habit of showing a lot of preseason film on this channel, but it's all we have right now of the rookies. And this is Wilkins, who I'd probably label as my top ad of week 1, first play of the third preseason game. I think you see body control. I think you see the footwork to turn himself around, make a catch, turn upfield. We're talking about a 6'1", 220, 215, 220 kind of running back. And I think it's fair to ask whether Wilkins has a lot of juice. A big guy, tall guy, upright runner, gets chopped down on this play. No hard cut to the outside. No real evasive maneuvering at the point of attack. He just sort of gets chopped down. But I see what people mean when they compare Wilkins to Matt Forte. And I think this is what we mean by downhill running, right? Make a cut, get downhill, push hard, get low. I don't know who this is against defensively. It's the preseason. I can't say this is a wow, but I can say, okay, I can imagine a world where this works. This world? Maybe this world doesn't work quite as well, given a near goal line carry and Wilkins on second effort, coughs it up. Yeah, fine, winds up in a Colts touchdown. Obviously, this is the kind of thing we're not looking for from Jordan Wilkins, regardless of whether we're starting him in a fantasy game. Early season fumbles for rookies are bad things. So the reason I'm giving Wilkins the nod as the week 1 waiver wire hero is partly about what I just showed you, and it's partly about perceived opportunity, perceived situation, which I always don't love you to manage your team by, but in this case, Marlon Mack didn't practice on Monday. We're not positive he plays in week 1, and even if he does, you would expect, not having done anything in August, I think Wilkins is going to be heavily involved, if not the obvious starter against the Bengals. He's owned in about 30% of fantasy leagues. I think Wilkins should be owned in a bunch more. Who are you dropping for him? I think sort of the lower upside guys who you don't expect to have big roles, or even if they did get big roles, would be big players. I'm not convinced that Wilkins is an automatic stud ability-wise, but I'm sort of taken by the idea of at least stashing him here in week 1. I think he's your best ad of this week. Now, okay, on the podcast, I promised I'd showed you why in the world I'm still considering Doug Martin a rosterable human being after all the teasing and not producing very well as a result of when he does tease. And in order to do so, I have to take you back to his first game coming off suspension last year. Let's be honest, he didn't produce like this much in 2017. But I firmly believe that the muscle hamstring's best possible self at 29 is better than Marshawn Lynch's best possible self at 32. Yes, there were many bad moments last year for Martin, but the good things, the cutbacks like this play where Martin plants hard and finds a crease, it's good stuff. From the side angle, same game, on this next run, watch the acceleration. Do you notice the difference, how fast Martin gets up to speed? Short, fast kid who's 0 to 60 really fast when he sees it, when it's there, and he brings enough power to deliver the blow to a 250-pound linebacker who he just smacks. That's Kyle Van Noy. Yeah, this is the best Martin can be. And this view from the end zone kind of puts it all together. Accelerate hard right, cut it up, sort of fire, enough power to break through arm tackles and power into the end zone. Actually, ultimately, this was called back down on the 1-inch line. But at his optimum, Martin last year still was really good. Now, can he be at his optimum for long enough? That's a great question. It feels to anybody watching, like this is much more an off-field problem. Can he be trustable to get enough work to make it matter? I don't know. But I personally would own Martin in a lot of leagues. Bench him, no question. Let's just see how the workload in Oakland winds up shaking out. And then why do people like me get on you about Chris Godwin? He really does have a chance to be a complete receiver. Long speed, maneuverability, strength, craftiness. And this is from the preseason with Jameis Winston sending him a jump ball or I guess a back shoulder throw in the end zone. And I just want Tampa to file this away and realize this kid is growing as a player. He didn't make a ton of big plays last year. I don't think you look at this play and you say, oh my goodness, impossibly special. But I think evidence begins to mount that this kid can really play. And from last year, he's lined up wide at the top of your screen here. It's kind of an indifferent little post route. The point isn't so much what he does before the ball hits him, but rather the adjustment when he's strong enough, first of all, to get by the corner covering him. And I like the burst he gives to make the deep safety look dumb. The deep safety there takes a bad angle and turns this into a long play. And yes, certainly, he is caught from behind. And he is caught from behind by Luke Kuechly, a linebacker. So, I'm not going to say he's the fastest receiver in the league, but I think we're at the beginning of seeing a full repertoire receiver, and therefore I'm very cool with Godwin being owned really in all leagues and sort of just riding him on my bench for a week or two and seeing what happens. So there you have it, some highlights from the Week 1 waiver wire. If you want my full thoughts about all these waiver guys and some more, and also JJ Zacharyson is on the podcast. He gave some waiver guys as well. Check out the podcast. Go to harrisfootball.com. In the meantime, we'll have a show right back here tomorrow with Week 1 ranks, where we'll talk about some of the hardest players to rank and maybe why I issued some surprises. And of course, if we got updates about Le'Veon Bell and James Conner, I'll try to give you those too. Thanks for watching. We'll see you.
Thanks so much for watching. Please, please, please smash that like button. Write a comment, tell us who else you'd like to see us review film on, and of course, best of all, please subscribe to our channel and then click that little bell above the subscribe button and you'll be notified whenever we post a new video.